chance to talk about 4 trending topics with 4 things under the cloche to discuss. The first is almost under it.
In the hub of trends in London, Ben's flat.
Trendy flat.
A very trendy flat.
But he's still wearing that.
He's wasted up all of his creativity.
The advantage of filming in my flat was when I literally didn't have to get out my pyjamas this morning.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Very good.
Brilliant,
Lift
brilliant.
it. It's a bottle of gin, and it's working towards a greener future.
It's in a funny thing.
Oh.
No, it's.
I thought that was a coating. No, it's in.
It's
in cardboard. It's a cardboard bottle.
Lift it up.
Ooh. Well, that doesn't feel safe.
This makes bar fights a lot less impactful.
This is the frugal bottle. 5 times lighter than glass, 6 times lower carbon footprint, and the possibility of 360-degree branding, as opposed to a glass bottle with a label on it.
How's it working?
It's a cardboard sleeve with a food-grade pouch inside of it.
Oh.
I tell you what, since you got that in your hand, why don't we make some gin and tonics and sip them whilst we discuss?
I'm in. Why has no one done this before?
That is the exact same as boxed wine. When you have a box with a pouch in it. The box is the shape of a bottle.
Pretty much exactly the same as the EcoSip pouch inside of a cardboard sleeve that we sent across the UK for our own wine tasting recently.
What are we doing talking about this? We should be drinking gin. Cheers.
Cheers. Lots of examples. That's a wine. So it's not just spirits. It can be done with wine as well. Now, I mean, just in your hand, Baz, I'm not asking you to verify whether it is in fact 5 times lighter than glass, but substantially less. So there's a nice bottle of wine.
It's a very nice bottle.
It's got the same amount of liquid in it.
Oh, wow, that is a notable difference.
They both have 750 ml of wine in them. Their numbers, 77% less plastic than a plastic alternative, so a plastic bottle, and 5 times lighter than glass, 6 times lower carbon footprint. So yes, there's still plastic, that can be recycled. Cardboard, much lighter than transporting a heavy bottle of wine all around the world, and therefore lower on carbon emissions.
Is it electrical? Because there's a button that says press here to recycle.
That's your split button. So that's once you're done with it, you can start to break it down. I don't know how easy it'll be when there's still liquid in it, but we can try.
Should I just try it?
Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. It's very easy to pull apart.
Okay, yeah,
and you can see inside the bladder, which obviously without contents would be flat.
And you just pull that out. Yep, that's still got quite a lot of liquid into it.
It was only when we were doing our own gin when we realised how much money is spent on the bottles alone. And sometimes that takes away from the quality of the gin because people buy the gin because of the pretty bottle. Whereas this, it should all be about what's inside. I think it's really smart. And in amongst my wine and gin collection,
it's a talking point.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
definitely.
Genuinely, if you rock up with a bottle of wine that looks like that, people will say, oh, then it becomes a pretentious ingredient. Because you're like, well, you know, I just really care about the planet.
Recently, we asked you guys for lots of information about what you care about as part of squads. And so many of you said that actually packaging, I think it was the number 2 most important thing when it comes to being sustainable and self-conscious when you buy things. So this is just another example of something to keep an eye out for. The frugal bottle you may or may not know about. It'll be the brands that are inside of it that you'll recognise.
I like it.
I really like it.
I like it.
Really like it.
It's also a nice homegrown idea, like so many innovations. An entrepreneur developed it in their shed, and now it's British. It's made in Ipswich. There's UK supermarkets that are stocking bottles in it, so I think it's something you'll walk along a supermarket aisle in the UK, and you can choose that frugal bottle above and beyond brands around it in glass. Super interesting for sure. One question left to ask. Is it a fantastic frugal fixer or a paper cut back?
Paper cut back.
Got it.
And that's the bad one.
I thought you bottled it for a second there.
Oh, nearly.
Nothing worse than a paper cut back.
It's the F one. The frugal fixer.
Lots of fantastic frugal fixer.
Yeah, for the future.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Should we do a second one?
Yes.
Number 2, under the cloche.
So dried herbs or herb.
Dried something.
Which herb are we talking?
Come on, we can get this.
Parsley.
Oh, it's parsley.
It's parsley.
Why did it take so long?
Hydrating.
Yeah,
It took a while to hydrate. So you said it's dried parsley. You are correct. Specifically, freeze-dried. So freeze-drying herbs, vegetables, and other fresh ingredients naturally locks in their goodness.
Yep.
So you're only taking out water, sublimation, and as a result, you're left with very nutritious, because it's kind of like locked at that moment and nothing can perish. Now, we've definitely seen dried herbs before, but this company, Jux, does all sorts of things freeze-dried.
Red onion, cool.
Oh,
A few examples.
Red onion, what have you got?
beetroot, garlic, and rosemary.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Why?
Freeze drying locks in more nutrients than dehydrating over a period of time. Really different when you start to do it with other ingredients like carrot or beetroot or red onion.
That's delicious.
Or even garlic.
That tastes almost as punchy as it does raw. If it hasn't been blanched.
It's almost enhanced its sweetness as well.
So Jux is a Norfolk-based company, and it's Anna who grew up on a Norfolk farm and basically fully aware of how food grows, but very conscious that most of the food we buy has been through some process, which means it's not nearly as fresh as when she was on the farm, just pulling out the ground and enjoying it in the farmhouse, basically. Super local.
What strikes me immediately is that these have retained all of their raw flavour. Like the onion, but you try the garlic, it's still raw.
It's delicious. I don't like how it changes the cooking process though. Oh, hello.
Small bowl, little amount of water, some softened butter, make us a garlic butter.
Okay.
First of all, it would be nice just to put some of the parsley in the bowl with a tiny splash of water just to hydrate it and see what condition it is afterwards.
Go tiny. I want to see how little it needs. Okay.
A bit more. Yeah, that's about all right. Okay, interesting. I mean, you wouldn't do this, you just chuck it straight in the food, wouldn't you?
Sure.
No, but
then
instantly.
Whoa! And then straight away you get parsley. Serious parsley.
It's so strong on flavour, you just don't expect it coming out of a pot.
Now they claim that it also locks in more of the nutrients. It keeps it fresher and you get that strong flavour that doesn't taste like it's been dried. But actually, if you were to mix some garlic, some parsley, maybe some rosemary, mix it into the butter, mix it all together, we can make some garlic bread and see where we end up. So if we're looking at comparisons, what it says here is that 60-gram pot is the equivalent of approximately 600 grams of fresh garlic. So that, put into a pint glass of water, pint being just shy of 600 millilitres, you'd have a similar place. So really does swell. So a little goes a fairly long way.
This pot of beetroot says it's 9 small beetroots.
When you take out the water, which is the bit that just makes it dilute as a flavour, you're left with the real intensity. The fact is you then hydrate it again to put it back to a place that you could use it in salads or whatever.
Let's hydrate some as well and see how much they expands.
So the immediate error that we have made is that we've tried to rehydrate these in fat, which will mean that they will not rehydrate.
Okay, well, there's some in water here, so you can kind of see how much it's puffing up again. Not a huge amount.
And for fresh herbs, depending on what it is, adding to stocks and sauces and things that have got plenty of liquid in there to hydrate, easy. If you're doing things like the beetroot and the carrot, you can literally just munch on them, a teaspoon, and they are sweet and full of nutrients. They're great if you put them over cakes. So think freeze-dried fruit we obviously expect to see on top of cupcakes and the like.
I feel like this is where food trends, like this is bang on a food trend.
Food trend, yeah.
Because they're trying to break the back of something. And in some places they're nailing it. In other places it's going to take the people to adapt quicker a little bit.
But this is about convenience. It's about minimising food waste because you're never going to have that half a packet of parsley in your fridge going off.
Yeah.
This is about only using what you need when you need. But I would say in the case of some of the herbs, if you're comparing it in quality to fresh, it's a lot cheaper. Compare it to dried parsley, it's a lot more expensive. It smells good in here.
Ebbers, what have you done?
This is a broccoli soup from Sidekick. We thought on the topic of food waste. It's made from the stalks of broccoli.
Get a lovely little Sidekick plug in there.
He's made it on the show before.
I know.
It's such a good soup.
It's delicious.
With a little bit of garlic bread. And then I want your opinion. Where do these sit and what do you think about them?
Wow, that's good.
I have to judge each pot separately. I think they all serve very different purposes. I love the beetroot and the carrot, just for silly snacking on. But then the parsley feels like a really smart way of preserving a delicate herb.
So they range from £4.99 for the pot of parsley up to £6.99 for some of the ingredients. You can buy a bundle of different mixes of them for less than 28 quid. But here's the question. Freeze-dried ingredients, do they stop you in your tracks or just leave you cold-hearted?
Stop you, isn't it?
Freeze!
Oh my gosh.
Two different seeds. Freeze as in stop, and freeze as in like sub-zero. So it's like two things going on there.
They've stopped me in my tracks, Ebbers.
Positively.
Positively stop you in your tracks.
Specific ones have definitely stopped me in my tracks, I would say.
Right, number 3.
The cloche is doing nothing but giving us all anxiety.
Very carefully pull the cloche towards you.
Beer?
Beer.
In gin glasses.
Starting from the left, anything stand out?
Tastes like a very nice Hell's.
Then try the second one. The second one, 2 and 3, are both from a different company, also doing good things.
Well, do you think these are low alcohol?
That's delicious.
It can't be.
I know. It's despite its looks, it's a really refreshing beer.
Oh, I'm my dad. That's lovely.
Put the cardigan down. It's called a Vienna lager. So whilst it is darker in colour, it's still a lager. What's the trend we're talking about? Because it's not beer, that's been around forever and ever.
Can't be low alcohol, because that's
not low alcohol. They range between 4 and 5.2%. One furthest left.
Toast. I've heard of these.
Toast.
It's made using surplus bread. And the other two are by Beyond Belief Brewing.
Oh, so they're all different.
Gotcha.
And those
Pasta Vienna lager.
made from surplus fresh pasta.
So
they're
gotcha.
So the first one, Toast, I mean, they have been going for 7 years or so now. They're doing amazing things. We know that bread is one of the most commonly wasted fresh ingredients.
I just don't understand that because it's all I eat.
Here's a fun fact. Since 2016, Toast, the brewery, have saved so many slices of bread that if you stack them up together, they would be...
I love these.
The height of Mount Everest.
Ooh.
Impressive, except it's actually 5 times the height of Mount Everest. That's how much bread
It's a big
they've
sandwich.
saved.
That is a big sandwich.
And Beyond Belief Brewing do the same with a company in London that make fresh premium pasta, filled pasta, shaped pasta.
Nice.
They always have scraps. Those scraps become 50% of the mash.
And do they use that? They use it in the mash, so they use it with the grain. And I guess it's wheat, isn't it?
It's great.
It's
something for yeast to feed off of.
Ooh.
And like with all these, is a good catalyst to talk about spin-offs of food trends in general. Toast have been around since 2016. They've saved so many slices of bread, donated hundreds of thousands of pounds to charity, and using bread that would otherwise have gone to waste means they've also freed up the equivalent of 71 acres of agricultural land. So it's freeing up agricultural land, it's avoiding food waste, it's not sending that food waste to landfill or wherever, which causes methane and other emissions. So it's all good stuff and tastes great.
Do you know what I really like? Is companies doing these cool things, but there's no compromise on flavour. Are they sort of the same sort of prices that craft beers would be?
Yep, Toast mixed case of 12 is 25 quid.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So, a good craft beer, a good quality craft beer price.
Pasta beer, never heard of.
Yeah, I
really
love
cool.
it.
What great idea. And what great beer.
Arcing back to our first cloche lift, both of these breweries also prefer to use cans over bottles for a weight distribution conversation. And interestingly, especially with the likes of Toast and pasta, it's only arcing back to where beer really started. And that's natural wild yeast fermenting cooked grains or porridges that have been cooked out. So it's really not new at all. It's thousands and thousands of years old. These guys are just making it cool. The question, of course, though, surplus waste food for brewing. Are you going to raise a toast or is it pasta la vista?
Nice.
Raisin toast.
Raisin a toast.
Really great.
And pasta.
And pasta. Pasta and toast, risen. One more for you, would you like it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Ooh, put it back.
What was that?
That
Oh
was-
my goodness, smell it. Smells
you
like
get it.
tuna.
Go again.
Smells like cat food.
Oh, it is cat foody.
His body language says no.
You were doing so well today,
no,
Ben.
it smells really deep and meaty, and I mean, I'm assuming it's raw meat, which never looks good.
So this is Juicy Marble's fillet steak. So it is 100% plant-based. A lot of the companies around sort of 2019, 2020, who had huge billions of dollars of investment, have started to close down and or reduce their range. So meat alternatives may be on the down. The only way to keep attention maybe is more innovation. So this is a few years old. It's been crafted by a collective of creators who do food science and art. And rather than focusing on plant-based meat products, they've created prime cuts. Everything from decades ago looking at corn pieces, down to now mince that can be reformed into sausages or pressed or burgered or pattied.
They're going after tomahawks and fillets. Interesting.
That is a bold move.
But also with the versatility of being able to slice it, like you could a fillet, into pieces to stir fry or whatever.
Let's try it.
So the steak in isolation. We pan fried it in a relatively hot pan. It's got a nice sort of crust on it. And then we added butter, thyme, rosemary, and basted it. So you get that nice sort of buttery deliciousness all round. Bear in mind it's 100% plant-based and we've added in dairy butter, but you could absolutely choose to do this with olive oil.
It's a little bit flakier than...
Ooh, almost like salt beef.
Go again, but use the knife.
Strong.
So use the slice of the knife and weight the knife.
So passe. Go again, but use the knife.
Slice like a blade.
Yeah, don't
push
you
it
stop
down.
using your forehead and use the knife.
It's so crusty that it instantly starts falling apart.
So it looks...
It's like salt beef.
Yeah, salt beef.
There is the packaging, so we know exactly what we're talking about. Thick cut fillet.
Yeah.
The question is, does it look anything like fillet?
From the outside, it matches the photography on here. Looks just like it. As soon as you cut into it, it reminds me of a lot of the other alternative meats out there that have that stringy nature to them. Oh, it's
tasty.
It's quite tasty.
It's very much like salt beef in terms of texture and even the flavour. It's really tasty.
So they say, obviously, you can use it as a steak, as you are, but you can also chunk it, shred it, strip it, use it like brisket, stir fry, or in sandwiches, entirely up to you. It has intramuscular fat akin to prime grade cuts, keeping the meat moist as it cooks to enjoy a juicy, inverted commas, steak full of deeply permeating flavours and aromas.
For me, it's nothing like a prime cut. It tastes more like if you were to buy beef shin, like a tougher cut of meat that you have slow cooked a little bit. It has that kind of, it pulls apart and more like that.
The texture is the most meat-like texture I've ever tasted. I've never been into these. They're just not, I've never found them interesting. They've never been particularly interesting to me. But being completely objective, I think if you close your eyes, yes, you'd be able to say that's not fillet steak, but no, you wouldn't be able to say that that's not some form of beef.
And I think that's where a lot of the other comments online, not just those of ours, share it. If you have something like a fillet of beef, it's deliberately very lean, or any prime cut that you cook, you don't necessarily, I would say, want to cook it all the way through. You want to keep it slightly medium rare, or even rare, and therefore you have lots of different textures.
What's it made of?
Yeah.
So it's soy. The stain that it left on the plate, which I've also left there for reference, is from beetroot.
Can't stop eating it.
Oh, it's really, I can't, it's delicious.
Put that in a Reuben, you just wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
And the fat comes from sunflower oil.
For me, it's a benchmark. I think that's brilliant for what it is, but I would never expect much from it in the first place.
It's the best of a bad bunch, I would say.
Yeah.
And again, this is not brand new. It's been on the market for a while. But talking about food trends, and we've perhaps seen the peak of the fanaticism around meat alternatives, but it is now needing to be even more innovative and lean even more into branding to get you to eat it if a meat alternative that looks and behaves like meat is what you're after.
But
I think if you're looking for a fibrous meat-like texture, then there's actually probably a lot of stuff that you can do with that and combine it with to get that sensation. But at the end of the day, it's definitely not fillet.
Where I stand with all of these type of products is sell it for what it is, and it'll find its own market, rather than trying to be something else.
I've got one question for you boys.
Oh, great.
Does this fillet steak alternative meet your expectations, or have they just lost their marbles?
I'm going to go controversial
Go on.
and say it meets my expectations
Does
because
it?
my expectations were so low. and therefore I've been pleasantly surprised.
Okay. It's not for me, so I'm going to say lost their marbles. But it tastes nice.
There you go. 4 trends, 4 conversations. Comment down below. Join in.